Just like siblings, there are many things that unite Canadians and Americans, but almost as many aspects that make them oh so different and set them apart. And when it comes to housing and lifestyle, the past 10 years especially have been a roller coaster. So tag along to discover the good, the bad, and the ugly. Meet Tom. He is the average Canadian, living in an average Canadian city. He is 41 years old, is in fairly good health, and hardly saves anything for retirement. Meet Joe. He is the average American, living in an average American city. He is 38 years old, lives in the suburbs, and he's equally bad at saving. But here comes the main fork in the road. When it comes to housing affordability, Tom has more reasons to worry than Joe. Compared to 2008, Tom needs to pay 56% more if he wants to buy a home, and 25% more if he's looking for a rental. However, his income only went up 15% in the past 10 years, so he's feeling pretty strained. Joe is luckier. Home prices in his area only increased by 24%, and rents went up by just 27%. In the meantime, his salary went up 18%. As a consequence, Tom's situation in 2018 is much worse than in 2008. He used to live in a seriously unaffordable city, but now he probably has to deal with the expenses of a severely unaffordable market. This is because Canada went from a 4.9 unaffordability ratio in 2008 to a 6.7 unaffordability rate in 2018. This means 4.9 full monthly wages used to be enough to buy the average home in Canada, whereas currently, Tom would need 6.7 salaries to buy the same average-priced home. In the US, on the other hand, the situation remained in the same seriously unaffordable category. Joe's living in a city that went from a ratio of 4.7 in 2008 to 4.9 in 2018. But in some cities, the housing market is off the charts. If, for example, Tom decides to move to Vancouver, British Columbia, which is Canada's most expensive real estate market, he would need to stop going on city breaks, partying, or for that matter, eating for over 17 years just to afford the average home. Yikes! In the meantime, in the US, Manhattan, New York leads the way. Joe would need almost 16 full years to buy the average home in this uber-expensive borough. But what if Tom and Joe would like to live not only in the most expensive city in their country, but on the most luxurious, most beautiful, and hottest piece of property? Well, their fantasy would be pretty short-lived. It would end right about the time they spot the price tag of the most expensive homes available. With an asking price of 59 million Canadian dollars, Chester Hall, located in Oakville, Ontario, is described as a trophy property of the highest order. As for Joe, his chances of buying the hottest property in the US look even worse. The Chartwell Estate, a 15-bedroom estate located in Bel Air, one of LA's most opulent neighborhoods, is asking an exorbitant $453,802,601 Canadian dollars. Home prices going up like crazy. Wages, not so much. It follows that these conditions led to a decrease in homeownership rates in both countries. There are fewer homeowners both in Canada and the US compared to 2008. In Canada, the percentage of homeowners went from 69% to 67.8%, and in the US, it decreased from 67.8% to 64.2%. On the upside, both Tom and Joe are enjoying more living space since new homes have doubled in size since the 1970s. We're not talking 20 bedrooms or anything. That ship hasn't only sailed for Tom and Joe, that ship never existed. But still, currently, Tom has 2.5 rooms at his disposal, while Joe only has slightly less elbow room, 2.4 rooms. This extra space opens up the possibility for Tom and Joe to share their space with an amazing pet. If 55% of Canadians owned a pet in 2008, 61% have a furry friend nowadays. In the US, there are even more animal lovers. 62% of homes had a pet in 2008, and in 2018, a full 70% of homeowners get to come back home every day to their favorite cat, dog, turtle, or maybe cute little parrot. Cold is as much a part of the Canadian identity as maple syrup, poutine, and hockey. So it's really no surprise that only 57% of all Canadians use AC. In the US, however, 87% of all homes had AC in 2008, and that share jumped even higher. Currently, 90% of all Americans have this amenity. There are currently 662 vehicles per 1,000 people in Canada. But if you're not impressed much, take a look south of the border. In the US, there are 910 vehicles per 1,000 people. And what about higher education? 31% of all Americans had a bachelor's degree in 2018, up from 21% in 2008. In Canada, 23% of the people have a higher education, up from 21% in 2008. So we looked at home prices, rents, wages, most expensive cities, and most expensive properties, both north and south of the border. Which country do you think is best? Would you rather be the average Joe in America or the average Tom north of the border? Why? Let us know what you think in the comments.